June 19, 2020, private jet touches down in Tallinn, Estonia. One passenger boards. No luggage. No questions. The plane refuels and flies to Minsk, Belarus. By the time German authorities realize what's happening, Jan Marsalek is gone. The chief operating officer of Germany's most celebrated tech company. Vanished. But here's what they didn't know yet. He wasn't just running from fraud charges. He was a spy. And the company he helped build? It was all smoke and mirrors. 1.9 billion euros. Gone. Or rather, it never existed in the first place. Welcome to the largest fraud in German history. Rewind to September 2018. Frankfurt Stock Exchange. Wirecard joins the DAX 30, Germany's most elite stock index. The company is now worth 24 billion euros, having beaten Commerzbank, one of Germany's oldest banks, a fintech startup replacing traditional banking giants. The future has arrived. Wirecard processes payments for airlines, hotels, retailers, Qatar Airways, KLM, Allianz. Over 280,000 companies use their platform. $125 billion in transactions flow through their systems each year. The German government brags about them. The pride of German innovation. But there's a problem. A journalist in London has been asking uncomfortable questions for 4 years now, and he's not going away. 2014, London. Dan McCrum sits at his desk at the Financial Times, reporting for Alphaville, the paper's markets blog. His phone rings. It's a hedge fund manager named John Hempton. Would you be interested in some German gangsters? McCrum is intrigued. The tip is about Wirecard, a payment processing company based in Munich. They're buying up small businesses across Asia. But something doesn't add up. 2015. Manama, Bahrain. McCrum travels to investigate one of Wirecard's supposed clients. The address leads to an empty office. No business. No people. Just a shell. The Asian acquisitions Wirecard boasts about? The paperwork shows they're worth far less than claimed. Sometimes they barely exist at all. April 2015. McCrum publishes his first article, The House of Wirecard. The response is swift. Wirecard executives arrange meetings with McCrum's boss, Paul Murphy. They want the investigation stopped. Murphy refuses. But McCrum doesn't realize what he's walked into. This isn't just a company hiding bad numbers. This is a criminal enterprise. And they're about to come after him. Jan Marsalek, born March 15, 1980, Vienna, Austria. High school dropout. Brilliant with technology. In 2000, he joins Wirecard. By 2010, he's Chief Operating Officer, managing Asia operations. And that's where the magic happens. Wirecard started in 1999 processing payments for porn and gambling websites. Marsalek takes it global, buying payment companies across Asia, Dubai, Singapore, Manila. 3 firms become the crown jewels. Al Alam in Dubai, Senjo in Singapore, PayEasy in Manila. According to Wirecard's books, these 3 partners generate over €500 million in annual revenue. More than half of Wirecard's entire profit. Except there's a problem. These companies barely exist. Reporters knock on doors in Manila, Dubai, Singapore. Empty offices. Numbers don't match. But Wirecard's auditors, Ernst & Young, sign off on everything. Clean audits year after year. No questions asked. Meanwhile, Marsalek is living a double life. 2017. Marsalek and his girlfriend Natalia Zlobina travel to Syria to visit Wagner Group units, Russian mercenaries fighting in the civil war. Why would a tech executive visit a war zone? Because Marsalek isn't just a businessman. He's working for Russian military intelligence, the GRU, and has been since at least 2010. His handler's name is Stanislav Petlinsky, code name Stas. Marsalek uses Wirecard money to fund covert operations, arms deals, intelligence gathering, private armies. The company is a front. But back in Munich, CEO Markus Braun either doesn't know or doesn't care. The stock price keeps climbing. Everything looks perfect, until the walls start closing in. 2018. Dan McCrum receives an encrypted message from inside Wirecard. A whistleblower. 70 gigabytes of documents, internal emails, contracts, spreadsheets. McCrum spends 3 months analyzing them in a windowless room at the Financial Times, on an air-gapped computer, no internet connection for security. What he finds is staggering. Forged contracts, backdated documents, fake customers, revenue that never existed. The Asian partners are processing payments that never happened. Money is flowing into escrow accounts that don't exist. It's all fabricated. January 30th, 2019. The Financial Times publishes McCrum's exposé. Wirecard executive suspected of using forged contracts. Stock drops. 8 billion euros in market value evaporate overnight. Then something strange happens. The German financial regulator, BaFin, doesn't investigate Wirecard. They investigate the journalists. Criminal complaints against McCrum and colleague Stefania Palma. Market manipulation, they claim. Journalists accused of conspiring with short sellers. Private detectives follow McCrum. His wife is hacked. Someone tries to bug his editor's office. Wirecard offers Paul Murphy $10 million to make the stories disappear. Murphy refuses. But in Germany, Wirecard is untouchable. The government backs them. The establishment rallies against anyone questioning the company. CEO Markus Braun goes on television. "We are the victims. This is a conspiracy." For a while, people believe him. October 2019. Pressure mounts. Financial Times keeps publishing damning stories. Wirecard hires KPMG, a Big Four accounting firm, to perform an independent audit due March 2020. Then it's delayed. April 28, 2020. KPMG releases findings. They can't verify revenue. They can't confirm Asian transactions. Most critically, 1 billion euros supposedly in trustee accounts cannot be verified. The money might not exist. Wirecard stock plunges 26%. Markus Braun insists everything is fine. He extends his contract, promises proof, just needs more time. June 5, 2020. German police raid Wirecard HQ in Askim, investigating whether executives misled investors. June 18, 2020. Wirecard announces 1.9 billion euros is missing, supposedly held in 2 Philippine bank accounts. The banks, BDO and BPI, issue statements. Wirecard was never their client. The money doesn't exist. June 18, 2020. Markus Braun resigns as CEO, replaced by James Friess, a lawyer who joined the company the night before. He's tasked with figuring out what happened. But it's too late. And Jan Marsalek? He's already making his escape. June 18, 2020. Evening. Marsalek is fired from Wirecard's management board. He tells colleagues he's flying to the Philippines to find the missing money, to prove his innocence. Someone even falsifies immigration documents showing he arrived in Manila. But it's misdirection. June 19, 2020. Morning. A private jet departs from Klagenfurt, Austria, to Tallinn, Estonia. From there, Minsk, Belarus. Marsalek crosses the border at 7:10 p.m. By the time German prosecutors issue an arrest warrant, he's gone. Investigations later reveal the escape was coordinated by Russian intelligence, with former Austrian intelligence officers helping. People Marsalek recruited stayed on his payroll. Within days, he's in Moscow under FSB protection. Given a new identity, Konstantin Bajazov, later Alexander Neladov. Multiple passports, multiple identities, all issued by the Kremlin. June 22, 2020. Wirecard admits the truth. 1.9 billion euros likely never existed. The company has 3.2 billion in debt. It can't pay. June 23, 2020. At 2 a.m., police arrest Markus Braun at his Munich home. Charges: fraud and market manipulation. Held overnight, then released on 5 million euro bail. He denies everything. Wirecard is the victim, he insists. June 25, 2020. Wirecard files for insolvency, the first DAX 30 member ever to go bankrupt. Stock crashes from 104 euros to 1.28 euros. a 90% loss. Over 20 billion euros destroyed. 13,000 shareholders demand justice. Many ordinary Germans, retirees who trusted regulators. 5,800 Wirecard employees lose jobs. Most unaware of the fraud. Just collateral damage in a scheme orchestrated by a handful at the top. September 1st, 2020. German parliament launches an inquiry. How did this happen? Why did BaFin fail? Why did Ernst & Young miss the fraud? BaFin had only 15 employees monitoring accounting standards. Budget, 6 million euros. Understaffed, under-resourced, overwhelmed. When Financial Times raised red flags, BaFin dismissed them, assumed a British newspaper was attacking a German success story. Instead of investigating Wirecard, they prosecuted journalists. Felix Hufeld, BaFin president, eventually admits the truth. This is a complete disaster. He resigns. Deputy Elizabeth Rogel resigns too. Ernst & Young faces lawsuits over 700 million euros in damages. Shareholders claim EY falsely certified Wirecard's financial statements for years. September 2020. Criminal investigators drop charges against Macrum and Palma. The journalists were right all along. December 2022. Marcus Braun's trial begins in Munich for organized fraud, market manipulation, and embezzlement. Maximum sentence, 15 years. As of 2024, the trial continues. Braun insists innocence, blames Marsalek. Other executives plead guilty. The ringleader, still at large. Present day. Moscow. Jan Marsalek lives in a luxury penthouse near FSB HQ. Cell phone data places him there hundreds of times between January and November 2024. He moves freely, protected by the state. But he's not just hiding. He's working. December 2024. A London court convicts 6 Bulgarian nationals of espionage. The ringleader, Orlan Rusev, Marsalek's old Wirecard contact. Over 100,000 telegram messages between Rusev and Marsalek. Spy ring tracked Kremlin critics across Europe. Surveillance, kidnapping, assassination attempts. Marsalek coordinated, financed operations, and paid Rusev £204,000. Marsalek funded Wagner Group mercenaries, supplied Russian military operations in Syria and Libya, laundered money via cryptocurrency, ran intelligence ops targeting European governments, all while COO of a publicly traded German company. Interpol issued a red notice. Russia refuses cooperation. They know where he is. They're protecting him. Wirecard HQ in Ascium sits mostly empty. Assets sold off. Santander buys main unit for 100 million euros, a fraction of its supposed value. Lessons to take away from this fraud. Firstly, complexity is a weapon. Wirecard built a maze of shell companies, offshore accounts, and third-party partners. Money was impossible to trace. Legitimate transactions mixed with fake ones. Fraud hidden in plain sight. Second, reputation is armor. Wirecard wrapped itself in prestige, DAX membership, famous auditors, government ties. Critics weren't whistleblowers. They were threats. Third, regulators can fail catastrophically. BaFin chose not to investigate, instead targeting journalists. Regulatory failure on an epic scale. Fourth, follow the money, or in this case, follow the money that isn't there. 1.9 billion euros doesn't disappear, it never existed. Wirecard inflated balance sheets for years, reported profits they never earned, claimed cash they didn't have. Auditors, investors, regulators, media, everyone believed, except a handful of skeptics. A Financial Times reporter, some short sellers, whistleblowers. 2015 to 2020. 6 years. Investigation. Threats. Asking the same question repeatedly. Where is the money? The answer was simple. There never was any money. Wirecard wasn't just a company committing fraud. It was fraud pretending to be a company. A house of cards built on lies, held together by prestige and power, until one journalist asked the right questions. And the whole thing came crashing down. If the video was informative, consider liking and subscribing to the channel.